Hello and happy Friday. Yes, it's Friday. That means it's time for Feature Friday on Business by Design Online. I'm Katie Sevenance, and I'm so excited that you're here to celebrate Friday with us because our speaker today, our guest she is so awesome. Oh my gosh, talk about business brilliance. You are going to want to have a pen and paper ready because our guest today is Connie Kercher, and I'm going to bring her up right now so that you can meet Connie as well. Yay. Good morning,
Hello.
Connie.
Happy Friday, ladies.
Oh
And
my gosh.
gentlemen watching.
That's right. That's right. And it's Friday and it feels so amazing. Other than the smoke that's in the air right now in Colorado, it's pretty crazy. And we're so excited you're here with us today. I love it. So, Connie, we met a couple years ago. I think you came and did a presentation at one of our meetings, but I also had met you at your business up in
Yeah.
Westminster.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Switchboard Networking. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool. So,
Switchboard
before
networking
we
group.
get into all that fun stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me your history. And we were just starting to talk about how you're between Colorado and Texas. I
Yeah.
want to hear more about this.
Yeah. And then the countdown happened. And we're like, oh, okay, well. So thank you, for time today. And again, just to be able to have some fun conversations. So my journey has been, I'm born and raised here in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. Went to undergraduate at CSU for communications, rhetorical studies. But my heart's always been tied somehow, some way to Texas. I knew I wanted to give back in the education space, the higher ed space. And so my first position was for the Texas A&M system. And so I drove my red little Jeep from Fort Collins, Colorado, down to the university down there. And it's kind of like that unfolded for 10 years of just my time down there and my just appreciation for, just getting to know people in a different Southern culture kind of way. For me, I am super, super passionate about education. I am constantly reading. That is something that when I was younger, I think I hid a lot out of embarrassment, or I didn't want people to know just how nerdy I was. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, look, listen to this new book. Look at this. Like, I have found my peeps that love education as much as I do. I love to golf. You obviously can tell I have tons of energy. That's not just because it's today with Katie, that this is truly the energy I am. I've been like that since I was 5 years old. And so, yeah, like just my space to be able to be mindful of the energy you bring in, I think is part of, kind of my mission and all the things that I touch and serve in.
I love it. Okay, so you love to read. What are you reading right now?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have heard The Dream Giver. That has been a phenomenal book. There's two kind of editions of it. One is just The Dream Giver. One is The Dream Giver for entrepreneurs. If you've not checked out that book, I would go 2 thumbs up. Yep, write that down out of your head onto paper on that.
Yep.
And then my other encouragement actually would be is Max Out. It's 100-page, super simple Ed Milet. If you've not watched some of his content on YouTube, or again, I've been in his kind of circles for many, many years, and he's just now becoming more public. And he just published like 100-page, super simple, what it means to be, a max out. Oh, what just happened?
What happened?
I don't know. We had a countdown, and then it was on.
That was weird. I know. I've never seen that before.
3, 2, 1. Say it again. So I would just encourage the max out piece. I think that would be something that would be very, very fruitful.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I wrote them both down because I am loving it. Right now, I'm working with my team on Dare to Dream, Dare to Lead.
Yeah.
Brene Brown. And then we're reading, I've got another book that I'm ready to start. I can't remember it. It's Glenn. Anyway.
It's going to be a good one.
It's pretty. The cover's really pretty, but I love it. I'm that way too. Personal development is like my thing. I love it. So
Yep.
Awesome. So you split your time then between Texas and Colorado. What do you love in each of the places?
Yeah. So I just think it's fitting, for business by design. I, really intentionally years ago knew that my family is here in Denver, Colorado. I have 2 younger sisters, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my cousins, all of just like truly like who I want to make sure that I'm building relationships for, live in Colorado. but they don't love to travel. And I love all of them, but they're not one that's going to go and travel the world, as part of what maybe I want to do by design.
Right.
And so, I've traveled all throughout about 10, 15 years of just training, working for universities. And then I said, I'll make my kind of hub spot, right? Like I'll make headquarters back to Denver, Colorado in 2016. And then I can choose where I'm going to branch off, where I'm going to travel to. And so that is, that was a big intentional decision to go, all right, what does that look like to live here and still be able to serve and network and grow business remotely in different states? And so that has taken time to figure out the rhythm of that. But it really is, it's a different feel of doing business here in Colorado. What I have found is, for us, it's very professional. It very much so is, let's talk, business acumen pieces, and masterminds are very much so, a strong word in this Denver entrepreneurial, kind of experiences. And just Colorado in itself is highly apt to entrepreneurial spirits. Okay. But what I found when I'm in Texas is that's a newer piece, right? Like that's newer to get that excited about, not necessarily masterminding, but like networking. Like I feel like in Texas, networking is it. It's the chambers. It's the Rotary clubs. It's I've got your back. So what I find is it's a good blend of I get to bring really professional Connie in Colorado. And then when I'm serving and networking in Texas, it really is more of that just networking core concept is really where I think they really lead the entrepreneurial way that we could learn here in Denver sometimes. Yeah.
That's good. Well, that's awesome. I love it. And I love to travel too. I know this has been so hard for those of us who like to get out because we're just like, I need to go. I need to go. So, all right. So you have two businesses. You have the one in Texas, one here. You're also doing a lot of other things too. Can you share a little bit about some of the other things you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm very blessed that, I really wanted Switchboard Networking Boutique to be a tangible place in Westminster and in East Texas for trainings, for workshops, for pop-up boutique concepts, for other entrepreneurs to have, spaces for them to activate education. I also then serve as a managing director for a women's connection company that is called Polka Dot Powerhouse. It's an international, positive, action-forward community that I've just been blessed to be part of for the last couple of years. And then I really do come alongside entrepreneurs and female solopreneurs to teach them strategy, to walk alongside tracking data-driven decisions. What are you doing to reverse engineer, how you're building your calendar, how you're building a sustainable business model for yourself, for your family, financially, energy-wise. And so that really has evolved to make sure that, again, in that one-on-one setting or in group coaching setting, to just go, hey, there is research, right? And this is where I'm like, my gift is like, there is research. You guys don't need to go read the 14 journals a month. I'll synthesize that. I, will make sure that it's fun and engaging. But those are the 4 ways that I really serve. And for me, it's never a 4-letter word of work, right? Like I was taught very young at a mentor to say, if it's ever work, you're going to want to keep looking. Yeah, you're going to want to keep looking. You're going to want to keep looking. And so, I'm very blessed that I heard that very young to go, what is it that I'm passionate about that I can still give back to society, still monetize that piece, still be able to build a life that serves, my gifts and where I want to, build in hobbies and lifestyle goals. And so, yeah, that really has been the blend of those 4 moving parts.
I love that Phoenix just said data-driven decisions. We've been talking a lot about that because so many people are making decisions on emotions, especially right now. And it's like, no, you have to know your numbers. You have to know. So you have something to measure, something to move on from. And
one of my greatest takeaways in that, Katie, is you'll hear me say all the time, out of your head onto paper. Like we don't get it right up here. I always say the battle is not won up here. It really is won on the paper. So, as you're trying to figure out what's next steps, or should I make this decision? Should I prioritize this? You'll always hear me say out of your head onto paper. It's a way to actually take those emotions and move them to concrete.
That's definitely, you're talking to me, because I'm not a numbers person. I'm trying to change how I should say I'm a numbers person. I'm getting better every day.
There you go.
I'm really being positive about this, but it's like my business partners are on me because it's like, Katie, get to it. You got to make your decision on different things. So I love that. That's really awesome.
Out of your head, onto paper, 2020. Like I'm just going, that is just a rule to kind of guide when you're in that fatigue, decision fog, overwhelmed state. I just hope that that is a blessing for anyone that's kind of in that place. And we all get to that place.
Yes. Some every month, some
yeah,
day.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Let's see what Friday brings, right?
That's right. That's right. I love it. Well, this show is all about business tips for women in business, all kinds of businesses. And I would love it if you would share some of your top tips with our audience today. Do you have some things planned for us?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I may or may not have notes like over here. So if I'm looking over here, just know that I am a prepared notes agenda person. So I have
I'm ready to write.
I'll also do like a little asterisk to go, I have known to be the Connie train that moves pretty fast. So I will hold space for questions. And if you're watching the replay, put it back in there. I'll make sure that I check that the next couple of days. But 3 calls to action, right? I'm not a big person in believing in to-do lists. To-do lists feel heavy. To-do lists feel like they've been running on some pad of paper since 1999. Like, let's end that party and let's get to constructive action list. So my first takeaway, my first pay forward of going back to basics is really thinking about constructive action steps. Instead of to-dos, think of the steps. Think of when you're looking at your calendar or when you're looking at, the running list of what your deliverables are to your client, to your networking follow-up, to you need to prep something within your own business, your marketing next steps. Think about steps. When I go constructive action steps, that even feels different than I've got to do that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So a big way of looking at now everything that's on either, your Outlook calendar, your paper calendar, your running list is now constructive action steps. That's number 1. Number 2, ladies, start theming your days. Okay. So what I mean by that is metaphorically, if you can use this visual, that we as incredible women and incredible men, we typically are running 100 conveyor belts in our business. So use that. Even if we're a service-based business or a product-based business. If you think about all the things we're responsible for as CEOs of our companies, we have 100 conveyor belts always going. And by theming your days, it's giving you permission to say, you know what, on Mondays, I only run conveyor belt 1 to 10 to completion. That's the key word. Then on Tuesday, determine the conveyor belts that you're going to touch, make progress on to completion on Tuesday. If you can visualize yourself right now, close your eyes, and you are running around your business, aka the 100 conveyor belts, you are probably touching all 100 conveyor belts 3 to 4 times a day. And 1, you wonder why you're tired. 2, you wonder why you're getting hurt on the job, aka burnout. And 3, you're wondering, you don't even know what's coming down that next conveyor belt.
Right.
Okay? So I think that's such a concrete way to take that concept of going by theming my days. And it's not one theme. We are multifaceted. I do honor that. We can't just say, well, it's going to be that one conveyor belt of just marketing all day on Tuesdays. I'm giving us honesty that I know that we have a lot of moving parts in our business, but by theming your days and segmenting it that way, you're able to touch that work, negotiate that work, follow up on that work, make edits on that work, and complete. Number 2, ladies, is completion is confidence.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because one of the courses I just finished, was on creating your day, scheduling your day. And I talk about bundling things together. Like, I have follow-up with customers, team members, whatever. So I have follow-up Friday. So after this interview, that's what I spend my time on.
That's the conveyor belt.
But thinking of it that way, it's so true, because if you're running from here to there to there to there, you're really not getting anything finished.
No.
So if you can just focus on a few of them and then really get it completed. I love that. We even go as far as calling it, instead of a to-do list, it's an accomplishment list, because that just makes you feel so much better. Just saying the word makes you feel so much better. So I love this. It's really good.
Yes. And so, the last kind of part, right? Like very concrete. I work and serve really in how-tos. I don't like just like the good feelies. And then we all go back into our home offices or out into networking. It's like, okay, I was motivated for a second on that. So the third one that I really think is important as we go back to basics is think about your why. Like when you go, the result is what? This is the result I want. This is what the end completion looks like. Instead of using these words like progress or work on, in my world, those are curse words. I'm like, no. We don't say working on. I'm like, well, your brain's going, well, how long are we working on this for, sunshine? So when you go to your results, what happens is it compresses your time. When I say I have a result to do 10 of these today, what I'm teaching, and it's very, very long, fun term, it's called Parkinson's management theory. But what that means realistically for us is that when you assign an allotment of action items and follow-ups that need to happen, and it's still at the same amount of time that you say it's going to take me a month, we as the humans will take the entire month to absorb all of that. Because we're not results driven. We're just like, oh, I got to work on that. That's what I was told. Versus Parkinson's management theory says we divide that and we divide that and we say the same amount of work needs to be done in 1 week. Do you know what will happen? We will complete all of that in 1 week. And so I'm just paying forward. I know it's like, I always use this metaphor of like, if you were going to Mexico tomorrow, everything that's on that pending list and more, you would complete for the 6 a.m. I got my bag, Connie. We're going to Mexico.
And I'm ready for my margarita.
Amen. Right. So I'm like, okay, so use Parkinson's management theory to go, what is the result I need today? Because I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. And I do that to myself every single day. Metaphorically, I wish I was going to Mexico tomorrow, but I'm literally putting that sense of urgency. I'm butting up the results to go, no, there would be no excuses if that next day it had to get done. I was leaving the country for vacation. Shockingly, we don't use that strategy enough.
I haven't heard it called that, but I've heard people say that whatever space you give yourself, you'll take that whole thing. I know for me in school, I was always a procrastinator. Like, I knew I could do this for this long, but it wasn't due until here. So the night before, that's what I would do. I still do that in way more ways than I wish. But that's so good. The
result is tomorrow. And I'm like, what's holding me back from completing that tomorrow? Nothing, right? Like, I'm like, no, like complete that because I'm going to Mexico tomorrow. The warehouse and the 100 conveyor belts need to be turned off by tonight. And I'm like, all right, then that sense of urgency to manage ourselves, I think, is the third greatest takeaway as we embark into fall of this year.
Wow, that's really awesome. I love that. And those are things that we can all put into place like every day. We can do that. I love it. So what kind of lessons have you learned with your businesses and with everything that's happened in the last, what are we on now, 6 months? What are you doing that's really helping you thrive through all of this?
Yeah. So twofold, I think, is first, I really got mindful that when things were starting to unfold and uncertainty was getting higher and higher. I'm not a big person of fear. I'm not a big person of even using that language. But when I say uncertainty is unfolding, okay, for me, I needed to make an external goal that was 100% in my control. 100%.
You have something that you can control. Yeah.
Amen. Like if the sky was falling, if my business went, wayward, if my business tripled, I needed a sense of grounding what I am doing has direct correlation to something I can control.
Yeah.
And all that is again, a really fun, sexy word, internal locus of control. But in this time, in this 2020, and again, just in overall crisis management, change management, just managing ourselves through life, that technique of, I really set back in March, a mental discipline challenge for myself that had nothing to do with anyone else. It had nothing to do with revenue goals. It had nothing to do with what externally I was putting out in motion. It was 100%. Can I commit to these 5 things every single day? Do not deviate and move. And so I would just be of encouragement, I'll be honest with you, to you find what those 3 to 5 things could look like. For me, I did the free 75 hard challenge. It was amazing. Again, I'm not connected or tied to that at all.
What is that? Is that a exercise?
Yeah, it's an entrepreneurial challenge. It's a mental discipline challenge. Andy Frisella is kind of the spearhead of what that vision is for 75 hard mental discipline. And I would just encourage to either research that or find something that you go, I can make my own 75 hard challenge and go for 75 days. What can I make sure I'm holding integrity to on myself?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
so
awesome.
I think that's finished. And I know it may be like, well, Connie, that's not a business technique to go, I did this with my SEO and I did this with my clients. If I go down, the whole company goes down.
Right.
Right.
Take care of yourself.
Right. Like, we're solopreneurs, we're entrepreneurs, we're rocking and rolling of going, I have to be on my A game. So I took this as a time to go get more grounded in what your discipline looks like, what you can control, what you can hold steady to, so that you have the energy to do and serve at the capacity that you don't know that's going to look like.
Right.
So that would be a hey, self-leadership as we are impacting and serving our clients, and being very intentional with setting that goal that we can control.
Mm-hmm.
Second is community. So I got really intentional to go, how am I making sure my clients are feeling community? How am I making sure that on social media, I'm building and holding steady community when people are going crickets?
Right.
An overwhelm is happening. So my business strategy was for 90 days, even for the rest of this year, in full transparency, is community, is a sense of belongingness, is making sure that I'm doing touch points to go, how are you? What's going on? How are you? What's going on? And so that is a business. I mean, that is a business strategy. If a person doesn't have a sense of belonging to your brand, or they don't know that they don't know the moving parts that are happening in their lives, it's hard to know how your service or product, will impact them.
Right.
And so I really was on mission to go, community is going to be our core strategy in all of our businesses.
I totally love that. And I agree with that in my other business as well. It's so key because people are just floating out there. You can feel it. I am so thankful for my business partners who we really ground each other and we really stay focused on our result, where we're going. But you see it in everyone you talk to, and they're so not sure unless they are really solid in their goals and their direction. It's hard. I mean, I see it in my adult kids, because they're just going day to day instead of we don't have that exact plan like we thought we could. But if you can take things into your control, what you can. She is so full of such great info. There you are. You're back. That is okay. These are some weird things going on, but now I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, I can. There you are. So anyway, what I was going to say is that community, just creating that, whether you have a business online or you have, you need to reach out and touch your customers, your team members, your business partner, whatever it is. My husband works from home and they're all virtual now. And just you start to wonder, am I making a difference in the company? Am I doing okay? Because you're not getting that feedback. It's different online. At least it's better that we have Zoom and things, but that's really
and secondary, again, I come from adult, learning background. I come from engagement strategies, and, as a core concept, small groups move. Small groups. So even though it's I want to market to the masses, encourage, oh, there we go. I want to encourage, this new way I'm going to do my business virtually in this. But if it's to the masses, it's going to be a mess. I'm just going to, I kind of go by that rule of thumb versus I'm going to move a small segment of a population, small group engagement works. And so as I built community, it wasn't in the masses in these last couple months, or even for the rest of this year. It was small group communities where they have a sense of grounding, they have a sense of their basic needs are met, so that we can keep including them in whatever we're rolling out in our companies.
I totally agree. We say, if you're talking to the masses, you're talking to no one, right? If you got to really get clear and make them feel part of what you're doing, so they know they're making an impact.
Now more than ever.
I agree. That's really awesome advice. I love that. So Connie, thank you so much for sharing with us today. How can people connect with you and learn more about what you do and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So the best place to contact me, find out about future programs, adulting challenges, group coaching of Prioritized Warrior, Mind Over Matter, strategies, and again, 6-month programs is all going to be on Switchboard Networking Boutique's website. And so what that is switchboardnb.com, the 2 most difficult letters to say virtually, but Switchboard, N as in networking, B as in boutique.com. All of our upcoming virtual experiences and webinars, and again, way to create virtual engaging events as an upcoming workshop. That would be the best way to connect and check out our next professional development series.
I love it. That is awesome. You are such a pleasure, and you did not talk too fast, and people need to listen faster. So I think that's good.
Notes and take a breath after each one. So my prep work did, if I can control those factors, right?
I love it. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. Well, I know you're going to have a fabulous Friday and a great weekend. And I hope all of you will get out and enjoy the weekend. Brandy just said, oh, she loves Connie's Prioritized Warrior program.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's a blessing. Awesome. Well, I want to just pay forward. We're in this together. I just am very thankful for the community that you're building and us being able to pour into each other, showcase each other, just really get to know each other in different ways. And so I just am thankful for that on this Friday.
I love it. Well, thank you, Connie. I hope you have a great weekend, and everybody tune in next week. Every Tuesday and Friday, we have Tip Tuesday and we have Feature Friday. Special guests just for you. Next Tuesday, my business partners, Joy and Phoenix, and I are heading out to do a business mind. We have our little retreat where we just sit down and hash out our plan for the next 90 days. So we're excited about that. So we're going to come live with you on Tuesday and share some of how we work our business plan together. So thank you so much, Connie. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Share this out if you think this information is helpful, and help us grow our community so we can serve more.
Yes, awesome. I will put all contact information below. Have a blessed weekend.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye.